Why isn't American media talking about the fact that the French just went through their 6th strike with over 1 million people out in the streets protesting against something that the government is trying to do? Clashes became so intense that the people were at one point going against the police directly. Let's talk about it. French President Macron wants to raise the age of retirement from 62 to 64, and the people are not having it. Railroads, airports, and rail systems have had complete delays across the country because the unions are striking against the government. The strikes have become so intense that even the oil refineries in France have been experiencing blockades. I think American media is not talking about this because they don't want us to get any ideas, but what do you think?
Hello family, this is Fred from the motherland once again. Welcome back again to my channel, and of course I repeat, if you're watching this video, if you enjoy our videos, please subscribe. France is on fire, my family. France is on fire. President Macron is now literally begging third world countries, the Haitians, the Africans, for forgiveness for what they have been doing. Now, someone might be asking, why is he begging for forgiveness from the black people or from the Africans? Because the economy tanked, food prices exploded, and the French people are now out on the street demanding answers from Macron. Now guys, if you think I'm lying, let's watch these videos how the colonizers' karma just came full cycle and black people can't help it. Black people can't help it.
Dear distinguished delegates, I stand before you today as the President of the French Republic to express my deepest apologies to the African nations and peoples who were affected by France's colonial past. We recognize the harm and damage caused by our actions, and we are committed to making amends for the wrongs committed during that period. To the people of Algeria, I apologize for the harm caused by our colonization. We acknowledge the historical injustices committed during that period, as well as the pain and trauma that we continue to cause.
Now, my family, French people can't afford to put bread in the so-called land of the banquets. And Macron is scrambling to answer questions. But here's the twist. Here's the big twist. The same France that stole trillions from Africa and Haiti is now begging those same people for forgiveness while their own citizens are starving. What an irony. France is now dying. The economy is crumbling. And Macron can't help it. Macron can't help it. You know, we know what happened. West African countries signed off. They left France. That shows you the power that Africans hold to these Western countries. That shows you the power of Africa in the world. That shows you that what the system has been telling us about Africa is totally different. Africa is the mother of the world. Africa is the feeder. Africa is the provider. Imagine West countries without Africa. Imagine America without Africa. Imagine France without Africa. Just imagine these West countries, the Europe, without Africa. Who is the third world country? Because right now, Macron cannot hide. The citizens are now demanding for the truth. Macron cannot hide. Macron cannot hide. Where were all these forgiveness messages when France was at his best? He only remembers Haiti and Africa when Paris is now burning and people are at his doorstep demanding for food, demanding for answers. That is when Macron can now come and plead for forgiveness from Africans and the Haitians because he cannot help it. Truth be told, France is literally cracking, brothers and sisters. The people are saying Macron should forget his global image, forget who he is, forget his fancy speeches, and give them food. Because they can't eat, there is no food. They can't afford their basic necessities. People are suffering. You know? And you think a sorry to the Haitians and Africans is gonna fix this? Nah, nothing is gonna fix this. You know? These people are now paying for their mistakes that they did to the Africans. They are paying for the mistakes that they committed in Africa. They are paying for what they stole from Africa. Macron asking for forgiveness is just a desperation dressed up as diplomacy. Does it mean that our ancestors are out there fighting the war for us since our so-called African leaders, the patriotic leaders, have been turned to servicemen to the West, serving the Western powers? Now, our ancestors are fighting this war in another way, and we can't see that. It is our ancestors who are fighting for us. It is them who are fighting for us. So, Macron is begging for forgiveness, and protests are shaking France. And the whole world is now witnessing. And this is an evidence that pride comes before a fall. But it's the truth. You can't build an empire on the backs of Africans and the Haitians and then act shocked when history catches up with you. France chickens, or should I call it bonquets, have finally come home to roost.
France did not see what is happening in West Africa coming. So they find themselves at a time when they are very weak economically, when at home the population of immigrants is growing bigger and bigger. You go to cities such as Marseille, you find Algerians, you find Moroccans, you find Senegalese, you find Guineans, you find Burkinabe, and things are not happening as they used to be then.
He also insulted all Africans.
I think they forgot to say thank you to us. It's not a big deal. It will come with time.
There is a part that caught my attention where he talked about ingratitude.
Gratitude, I am well aware, is a non-transmissible disease to humans.
He is human. Our ingratitude is not transmissible to him. This is how this gentleman sees Africa, sees Africans. We are not human. In his eyes, I think that if he is not an atheist and he prays, every morning when he wakes up and prays, he should also pray to the Africans. Because it is thanks to our ancestors that there is a France today. He should pray to...
Hey. Hey. So, France is collapsing. So the Prime Minister of France, after 9 months, is resigning. He has to resign. Oh my gosh. Didn't France say, Africa need us? Africa need us. I guess not. I guess y'all motherfuckers are the one that need Africa so bad. Y'all have convinced the whole entire damn planet that Africa is so poor. Look at that. After Africa pulled all their powers away, the sub-Sahara area and West Africa pulled their resources back, France is actually collapsing. Yeah, a third world country in Europe. Isn't there something else? Africa need us. Africa need us.
Is it true most of France's financial wealth right now is still built on
$500 billion a year?
Wow. From Africa?
From Africa.
Wow.
500. That's a lot of money.
And is it true that the deals are such that an African nation that has this deal with France cannot do business around the world with their natural resources without the first right of refusal with France?
First right of refusal is in
and they
France's
can still
hand.
tell them no?
Mm-hmm. They can still tell them no.
So if they've dug gold, coffee, cocoa, whatever, they go to France like, hey, you guys want this? And they say, nah. And they say, okay, we're going to sell it over here. France can still say, nah, you can't do that.
So insane.
And all those nations still run on the French franc, which is also hilarious because even France has
goes
the
on
euro.
the euro.
Exactly.
So wait, they buy money from France with their own natural resources.
Yeah, and if they don't
that's
comply,
not even worth anything in France.
Yep, and if they don't comply, the faucet's turned off immediately.
The police have just been waiting, and once the protesters, the rioters, Antifa, started breaking in this building, all hell broke loose. Tear gas is out. Police is coming out. Guys are throwing stones. Those aren't even rocks, those are freaking stones. They're grabbing out of the ground. Hell's broken loose here on the streets. This is what happened. The protesters came in. I can't even breathe. Tear gas. Can't even see. This is what happened. Protesters came in, started breaking through this building right here, this storefront, and then the police came in. This is absolute madness. I've never seen anything like this. All of the protesters' arms are linked and they're moving in a line right now. Another garbage has been set to flames. Lawlessness here in the streets of Paris. Garbage is on fire. Stores being looted. Police being thrown not just rocks, but quite literally.
Join me as I reveal one of the most explosive stories shaking Europe today. Imagine this: 200,000 angry French citizens flooding the streets, blocking highways, torching buses, chanting for Macron's resignation. Why? Because their government just announced a brutal $50 billion budget cut. But here's the twist the French media won't tell you. The deeper cause of this crisis doesn't lie in Paris, it lies in Africa. More specifically, in the Sahel. France is collapsing because it lost its grip on Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. Without Africa, France is bankrupt. Without the Sahel, France is humiliated. Well, Paris, Lyon, Marseille, Toulouse, the streets are on fire. Protesters chant, "Macron must go." A bus torched in Rennes. Train cables cut near Toulouse. At Gare du Nord station in Paris, police fired tear gas at thousands of demonstrators blocking entry. 80,000 police officers deployed nationwide, yet still overwhelmed. Nearly 500 people arrested. Over 170,000 people mobilized in more than 800 protests across France. The Block Everything movement, born online, has become a tidal wave of anger sweeping across the country. And the reason? Austerity, cuts, sacrifice demanded of ordinary French people. Prime Minister François Bayrou unveiled a $50 billion cut, slashing pensions, freezing salaries, removing national holidays. The people shouted no. Parliament collapsed in a no-confidence vote. Macron scrambled to appoint yet another prime minister. But the anger only grew. And that's just the beginning. Because here's what France doesn't want to admit. These budget cuts are not simply about mismanagement. They are about the collapse of France's colonial empire in Africa. They are about the loss of Niger's uranium, Mali's gold, Burkina Faso's cotton. They are about the end of French domination in the Sahel. Keep watching, because it gets deeper. For decades, French presidents boasted that without Africa, France would sink to the rank of a third world country. That wasn't just a statement. It was an admission of dependency. Africa's uranium lit French homes. Africa's oil fueled French cars. Africa's resources filled French banks. And yet Africa itself remained poor. That was the Africa versus France economy. Paris shining, Niamey starving. But everything changed when the Sahel rose. In Mali, Colonel Assimi Goïta ended military cooperation with France. In Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré expelled French troops and reclaimed control of supply chains. In Niger, General Abdourahmane Chiani nationalized uranium, expelled Orano, and joined the alliance of Sahel states. These were not isolated acts. They were a coordinated rebellion against centuries of French colonization in Africa, and the results speak for themselves. The World Bank Niger report shocked the world when it projected that Niger will be the fastest growing economy in Africa in 2025, with an incredible 14.4% GDP growth. Agriculture is booming thanks to massive irrigation. Oil production has quadrupled. Uranium is finally under Nigerian control. While France is slashing $50 billion from its budget, Niger is rising. While Macron faces 200,000 protesters in Paris, Chiani commands millions cheering in Niamey. France shamed, Niger triumphant. But there's something the media isn't telling you. France's $50 billion budget hole has a direct link to Africa. With the Sahel cutting off cheap uranium, cheap gold, cheap cotton, France's energy bills are soaring, its industries are weakening, and its debt is spiraling. In 2024, France's deficit hit 5.8% of GDP. Now austerity is the only answer. Yet the people are refusing to pay the price for Macron's colonial failures. This is where Niger sends the world a message. When Africa breaks free, Europe shakes. When the Sahel rises, Paris trembles. Like this video, if you feel what's coming is long overdue, and you won't believe what happens next. Because this is no longer just about the streets of France. It is about a shift in global power. The Sahel rising shows that Africa's fastest growing economies are no accident. They are the fruit of resistance. Resistance to IMF debt traps. Resistance to French colonization. Africa, resistance to puppet leaders. When Niger breaks free from France, France breaks down at home. Comment below, because the next piece needs your voice. If you believe Africa must rise, comment, Africa must rise. If you stand with AES, say it loud. AES forever. Now let us paint the contrast even more vividly. In Paris, pensioners march because their retirement is threatened. In Niamey, families celebrate cheaper rice, regulated rents, and free maternal health care introduced by the military government. In Lyon, students clash with police over tuition hikes. In Ouagadougou, young people cheer as Traoré opens new state-owned enterprises. In Marseille, unions strike against frozen wages. In Bamako, Goïta signs new defense pacts with Russia and Turkey. Two worlds, one falling, one rising. Which side of history do you stand on? And that's not all. The Sahel's victory is contagious. Senegal, under Bassirou Diomaye Faye, is following the same anti-imperialist path. Its economy is projected to grow 12.1% in 2025. Ghana debates taking back control of its gold exports. Across Africa, the message is spreading. If Niger can do it, why not us? If Mali can do it, why not us? If Burkina Faso can stand tall, then surely Africa as a whole can rise. But the question is, will France learn, or will it double down on?
Let's not pretend Macron's statement was just a slip of the tongue. France isn't concerned about African development. France is panicking because for the first time in modern history, West Africa is slipping out of its grip and they don't know what to do. See, when Macron says, now is not the time to leave Africa on its own, what he's really saying is, we're losing access to your gold. We're losing access to your uranium and oil. We're losing control over your currency. And we're running out of ways to pretend we're still needed. Let's break that down. The CFA franc, still controlled by France, has propped up the French economy for decades. It's been the colonial ATM. French banks sit on billions in African reserves, while our people sit in line for fuel and food. But now, countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger are kicking them out. And France is nervous. You can see it in the headlines. You can hear it in Macron's tone. Because when African nations started saying no to French troops, to economic dependency, to puppet politics, France lost the ability to destabilize quietly. They can't orchestrate coups the way they used to. They can't plant loyalists and call it democracy like they used to. They can't whisper from the shadows while Africa burns. Because the region is waking up, and puppets don't last long when the strings get cut. France needs Africa's mines to survive. They need our uranium to power their lights. They need our oil, our cocoa, our bauxite, and most of all, they need our silence. But we're done being quiet. So before I go, this isn't about whether Africa is ready. It's about whether France is ready to face a future where Africa no longer plays the sidekick, where we don't borrow identity, currency, or confidence from former colonizers. So Macron, if you're listening, your economy depended on ours for centuries. Now we're taking it back. Africa is not falling apart. Africa is falling into place.
Bro, what the hell is going on in France right now? The reports are saying that over the past few nights, in prisons across the country, they were hit by what officials are calling coordinated attacks. And we're talking like automatic weapons being fired at these prisons. They've got pictures of bullet holes in walls and glass doors. They're blowing up cars and even threatening prison officers at their home. And this is not just like one or two. These are prisons throughout the country in several different cities. The attackers apparently left behind the tag DDPF, and so now that's got France's anti-terror office in on the investigation. Now, the wildest part about this is that authorities believe that these are intimidation attempts, these attacks, and apparently they're in response to a recent government crackdown on what officials are calling a tsunami of cocaine entering France right now. But gangs, well, what we believe to be gangs, retaliating like this, that's like some cartel level stuff. Absolutely wild. Like, I'll keep you guys updated.
So, this is my question. Will this apology actually mean reparations on the way? Are they ready to return all the artifacts that they took from Africa? The beautiful artifacts that they took from Ghana? the beautiful artifact that they took from East Africa, from Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger, are they now willing to return them back? Or is Macron trying to survive the storm from his people? Please comment down there in the comment section. And of course, if you love this video, if you love our content, please subscribe and also leave us a comment in the comment section, and do not forget to ring the bell, because if you ring the bell, YouTube shall be able to remind you that we've just dropped a new video through a notification. Thanks so much, guys, and this is your guy from the motherland.